Good afternoon, singles. Welcome again to the Apex channel as we continue our series on breakups. Now, breakups are never ever easy. If they are, they wouldn't be breakups. Occasionally, you get the breakup that's mutual. Both parties agree, and that's usually the best case scenario, but we know that isn't always the case. I remember for learning a valuable lesson in the 11th grade. I was driving my high school girlfriend home, having already made the decision the last couple of days that I was going to break up with her. And I was pondering, this was really my first breakup. And so I was pondering, well, how do I share this with her? How do I break it? I had no experience. How do you break up? How do you do a breakup? And so I do remember distinctly, we left the high school. It was about 25-minute trip maybe from the high school to her house, where I usually dropped her off. And so we were riding home from school, and we got out of the parking lot, and I started the conversation. Really enjoyed dating, and I've had a lot of fun. But I think it's about time for us to start dating other people. So I remember distinctly, she reached down into the floorboard where her books were, and she pulled out a social studies book. It was thick. It was one of those thick social studies book. There was apparently a lot socially to study in that day. And I was thinking, what an odd time to read. I'm trying to, I'm talking from the heart here. I'm trying to share that, I think we should not be dating each other anymore. Only to quickly discover that she wasn't pulling the book out to read, as she began to beat me with that social studies book for the next 17 minutes and 23 seconds that it took me to safely drive/dodge the social studies book and get into her driveway. That was, I found out I'm a pretty decent driver that day. I can drive and dodge a social studies book at the same time. But hopefully none of you have a breakup story exactly like that, but that one did not go according to plan. So what happens after the breakup? What do you do after you've break up? Either if you've broken up with somebody or they broken up with you, what happens afterwards? Well, there's 5 principles that you want to follow after a breakup. The first principle is do not wallow in it. I remember, playing, songs after breakups. I know you guys maybe have done that. You have a song, you have a breakup song, or maybe, even worse, if it was your song when you were dating this person, and then you just play it over and over and over after the relationship's over, and you just wallow in it. You're like, oh my goodness, it's just, my life is ending, it's just over. And that new Taylor Swift song about we're never ever getting back together, her triumphant breakup song, that might be your breakup song, whatever your breakup song might be. And feel free to leave it in the comments if you want. But you don't want to wallow in it. You want to acknowledge that you had some good times, that they've been over, but you don't want to just wallow in that pain. You want to try to, as hard as it is, to rejoice in the moment, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but to move on that. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to Facebook vent. It's 2019, and a lot of times I can follow what's happening in my friends' relationships, or if they're in a relationship, by what they post on Facebook. And you don't want to just rail about the person on Facebook, because so many of your friends have probably met that person. It's just going nowhere good. I haven't seen a scenario where somebody's venting on Facebook about another person and that's gone anywhere good. And in some cases, even more embarrassing, they've gotten back together after they were both Facebook venting, and then everybody is kind of saying, well, what happened to everything they were just saying? So you don't want to Facebook vent. Have those friends that you can call, that you can sit down with, have coffee, and you can legitimately talk without just putting it out for the world on Facebook. Don't try to numb your pain. Don't, guys call it, pajama time, and you just, guys will sit, guys will sit in their pajamas, after a girl's broken up with them for days. And, if you watch that movie, The Wedding Singer, that's what I'm talking about. They just numb their pain, and they just either they don't think about anything, or they distract themselves with constant, movies, or they're thinking about something else, or they just numb their pain with something. And they don't acknowledge the pain, they just numb the pain and try to set it aside. Acknowledge the pain and ask God to help you with the pain so that you can recover quickly, and get where you're ready to kind of move on. You don't want to numb that pain, because really you're just hitting snooze on your pain, if that makes sense. You're just hitting the snooze button on your pain, and it's going to come back. So you really want to just deal with that pain and move on. Here's the other thing that we're prone to do. After the relationship's over, you want to start pointing out everything that was wrong with that person. Oh, they chewed too loud, or I don't like the car they drove, or whatever. You try to find flaws. You try to find a reason why you broke up with that person. You want to start pointing out their flaws to yourself to make yourself feel better. And that's not really, that's not going to be helpful either. Especially for us as Christian singles. If you broke up with somebody, they are still your Christian brother and sister, and pointing out their flaws isn't going to benefit them. It isn't going to benefit you. You really just want to move beyond that without going back and pointing out everything that was wrong with them. You want to get yourself to a place, and thankfully I've been able to do this, where one of my friends starts to date somebody that I have dated in the past, and I can say, they were a wonderful girl. They just weren't for me. I'm so happy that you guys are dating now. She's a really nice girl. She just wasn't my one. But I'm glad to see that you two are seeing each other. Hopefully you can get to that kind of point where, hey, that was not my one. That was not the one that was for me. But I'm glad to see a nice person. And I'm glad to see that she's found somebody else. Ultimately, too, you never want, the tendency sometimes can be to lay aside. You want to kind of shy away from God in that scenario, or you kind of don't want to focus on your spiritual relationship with the Heavenly Father. You don't want to talk to Him at a time when you need to be talking to Him more than ever. There's a verse about how even in trials and troubles, and I'm gonna post it up for you. It's in Romans 3. But there's verse about we are supposed to rejoice even our troubles and trials. Are supposed to rejoice, and we're supposed to share our burdens with the Father so that He can help us carry those burdens. So you don't, during this process, you don't want to run from God or hide from God or blame God or do anything that hurts your spiritual relationship with Him, because you're the one He wants you to run to Him. He wants you to talk to Him about it, and He wants to help mend your broken heart and prepare you for somebody else. Some other lucky person's waiting for you, and He wants to help prepare you for that person. So I hope today was great as we go through this series. We've got a couple more episodes for Sunday Single Shorts on breakups. But let me ask you guys, and post your answers in the comments. What are some breakup experiences you've had? What are some things you've learned through breakups with men and women? Share those with us in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to the Apex channel, please do so. We're adding new chapters across the country. It's a very exciting time to be an Apexer, and we would love to have you at an Apex event soon. But continue to join us here on the channel. Always, you can email in at info@apexchristiansingles.org. Let us know what the new topics you'd love to hear about are. We'll be glad to get with our team and put a video out there for your edification. So anyway, guys, wonderful as always. See you. I love you all. Have a great Sunday afternoon, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.